Hey beautifuls, Hannah here from Reality Awareness. So I've got a really important message. Like, we know how to clear energy of a person, right? We're like, oh, carrying that person, or it wipes us, and we're like, oh, we tune in, we feel it, we're like, we can sense when we're carrying somebody else's energy, right? If you're not clear on how to do that, I'll put the link in the comments below. I've got a special training video specifically on how to clear somebody's energy, or how to tell if you're carrying somebody's energy. What I really want to talk about now is how to tell whether it's somebody's energy or whether it's an AI mind control takeover, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at the timing of this live stream video, it wiped so many people in the last 4 days, and I really want to talk about that. So it's been really strong. Let me share this and I'll dive into this. While I'm sharing it, let me know if this is your first time to my live stream. Let me know if you're here live or if you're watching the replay. It's live right this second. And also let me know if you've been feeling that over the last few days, like the last week. You know, the energies have been pretty full on for everyone for quite some time, but it's like these waves that come, and it comes and it wipes us. And it's a different feeling, this AI mind takeover energy. You want to really talk about it. So I've just been talking about it with client after client after client after client after conversation after conversation after conversation this last couple of days. So it's really important for me to talk about, obviously. It is a really big deal, because if we look at the world that we're moving into, if we look at the world that we are in, it's very common. So, you know, and it's only sort of amplifying, if you may. All right, just going to concentrate and share this. As always. And I've got some really fucking exciting things I've been working on behind the scenes. Oh my God, I'm so excited about it. Okay. Getting really excited talking about it, but I'm just going to concentrate whilst I share this, as always, because otherwise I'm good at multitasking, but just when I get in a flow, I can't stop talking. So bear with me. Share to feed. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to bring up your comments. Okay. So Karen says the past 2 weeks have been so confronting. Yeah, so I really want to speak to this, because whilst there's a huge shift going on with, you know, clear out of collective stuff of, you know, lots of trauma being released from our systems, from our body systems. We're deep in the throat chakra consciousness, which is all about shadow, all about subconscious, all about shifting from pain reality to joy reality. It's, you know, the throat chakra consciousness is right in the middle of the head and the heart, of course. So there's a big shift from out of mind frequency into heart frequency. So what I want to say about sort of the last 4 days, you know, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday especially, is it was like a switch. And this is the thing where, and I teach this deeply in Trust Intuition, and I was literally saying to a client this morning, I was like, you know, because I got the message just yesterday, when I run Trust Intuition next year as the live training, we start in February for that. In the 6-month training, I'm going to include in there the clearing techniques and the going into depth about it, about how to clear the AI mind control, how to tell the difference. And I'm going to speak about that briefly here now, because yeah, and pets can feel it as well. Yes, pets have definitely been feeling it too, for sure, right? So, you know, and it just, you know, if you've been following me, I always talk about you know, I usually see there's two groups of sort of collective, you know, that I see. And so when one group's up, the other's down. When another group's up, the other's down, right? It's like we flick. And then there's times, like especially in maybe the last 12 months, both groups have been down at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And that's really interesting to me. So yeah, your dog hasn't left you alone. Yeah, the animals are definitely feeling it. It's definitely going through the animals too. So what is it? What exactly are we talking about? So there's a difference between feeling somebody's energy, like a person, and feeling AI. Now, it's like this feeling a person. This is what I've talked about and taught you guys for years. Yeah, like we're sensitive beings, we're empaths. We feel the earthquakes in the country next door. That's how sensitive we are, okay? And this is where fine-tuning your psychic development, your intuitive skills to understand your energy, somebody else's energies, the earthquake's energies, the star energy, the tree's energy, the neighbor's energy, that's what we do. As an empath, we must understand about, these energies, right? Now, talking about AI, right? There's AI, okay? There's humans, there's the earth energies, there's the cosmos, like there's a lot involved. But what I've started to notice is these patterns is usually there's a group up and a group down. It's just kind of like, the cycles of life, the ebb and the flow. There's a group up, there's a group down, right? There's always stuff that we're dealing with, right? There's always stuff we're dealing with. There's always, things like, there's always layers at every level, okay? And, when we're going through healing, there's like, gaps in between, and we get longer and longer and longer at healing. Like, the gaps in between get longer and longer as we work on healing ourselves and personal development, psychic development, etc. So, and then we learn to, stabilize, I want to say the good spaces, right? Now, okay, so going back to the AI. Okay, let's differentiate between a person's energy and AI energy, okay? They both come out of the blue, okay? So when we're feeling somebody's energy, it's like how to tell if you're carrying somebody's energy. It's right, you'll be just doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you'll be just like, out of nowhere, you'll just be like hit with grief, or you'll suddenly be thinking about a person, or you'll be like picking up your phone to like, okay, nobody messaged me, okay, like, and you just sort of start feeling maybe a bit weird, and you're thinking about them, or maybe you're not sure, or you were just fine a minute ago, but all of a sudden you just can't concentrate on what you're doing, or and you might, like I said, you might be thinking about them, or you might be seeing their car around and you're driving in town and you all of a sudden see their car all the time, or it's just, they're just there, right? And so that's really common when we, are sort of feeling somebody or sensing somebody, whether they're thinking about us or they're in a healing session and they're grieving from us, or whatever the story is, right? Like, we learn to differentiate between our energy and somebody else's energy, right? This is a big part of being an empath. This is why I teach you the basics. This is why in my Clear and Activate pack and my Essentials Meditation pack, there's the basic energy clearing techniques that you must know as an empath and you should be doing. And if you're complaining about being tired or whatever the story is, I'm like, are you clearing energy? That's where you must start. Okay, it's number one protocol. Number one. So, okay, so when we're sensing somebody's energy like that, we can feel it, okay? Now, the depth of tuning in and clearing, etc., like, it goes deep, but I want to keep this video clear around differentiating between AI mind-controlled takeover and the difference between feeling a human and feeling somebody else's energy compared to feeling AI, right? And I know it sort of sounds crazy, but when we look at the era that we're living in the day and age, and the year and the time and whatever they were living in and only moving and continue moving into, it's a very important part as an empath to start picking up this, as a light worker, as a leader, as someone who, teaches, about awakening consciousness of humanity in some way, shape or form. It's so important to understand these waves that come. Is it coming from the collective consciousness? Is it coming from, the earthquake next door? Is it coming from the universal earthquake that's going on out in the cosmos? Is it coming from a spiritual warfare? Is it coming from AI? Is it coming from your neighbor? Is it coming from your partner? Like, it's so important to understand this, okay? So the basics of understanding that you will find in my free Clear and Activate pack and my Essentials Meditation pack on my website. They're important, okay? Now, when you feel somebody's energy, I've just explained it. When you feel AI takeover, I want to say it feels very same. It feels very same, okay? When we're feeling somebody else's energy, it's going to knock us out of the blue. It's like we'll be doing our thing, we'll be just doing our thing, and all of a sudden it'll be like, oof. And we'll just not feel good, or we'll feel clouded, or we'll feel confused, or we're feeling like thinking about them, or whatever, okay? AI takeover is the same, but if you tune into it, you can tell and you can feel that it actually feels like technology. Okay, as an empath, you can train yourself, you should train yourself, and if you really tune in, you can feel the difference between something organic and something inorganic, okay? Between something natural like a human energy or an animal energy, or you can feel it, it's technology, it's wire, I want to say it's flitty. It's not flitty like a fairy. That's a different energy again, the fae. But I'm talking about like electricity. Like, don't know how to describe it any other way than that. Like, if you can imagine, like, so, okay, so here's an example. So you know when you're like in your house and it's just normal, right? And then you have a power outage. And through the power outage, like as an empath, it's really noticeable, especially if you're living in a city environment, and the power goes out, and all of a sudden, like, oh, it's like your body just relaxes because it's not being bombarded by all the EMFs, by all the devices, by the radio waves from not only TVs but microwaves, by your phones, by the Wi-Fi's, by, you know what I mean? And when the power goes out, you're like, it's like you can breathe again. And we don't realize how on we are all the time with all the electronic devices in the house these days. Now, even if you don't have much in your house, right? Especially, it doesn't matter where you live, in an apartment or in a suburb, it's going to be the same. Anybody knows that you can, turn on your Wi-Fi and pick up 50 Wi-Fis everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like every shop, cafe, every house, every person's phone, every device in their house's phone thing. Like it's a bit insane, right? So when you've got that understanding, okay, when you know what it feels like when the power goes out, and it's like, oh, like, sometimes you're like, oh shit, the power's out, and then it's like it's very noticeable and distinct, okay? So, yeah, okay, and so the anxiety, okay, so thanks for bringing that up. Is it B? Is that how you pronounce your name? So B, Ruth. So my neighbor was screaming out of nowhere tonight at another neighbor, and it affected me all night. My heart was racing and I felt so triggered. How do I protect myself from other people's energy like this when it was so loud? They slammed the doors too. It was legit scary. I didn't understand why. Okay. So a lot of people have been losing it. They've been losing their shit. Okay. Me included. Yeah. There's been a lot of anger. There's been a lot of anxiety. There's been a lot of heart stuff. Big heart stuff. Okay. So the thing that I want to point out about that, there's a couple of things, okay? We've all got our own stuff, okay? We've all got our own stuff. The thing that we differentiate between an AI interference and energy that we're feeling and taking over us, so to speak, okay? Very inverted commas. Or we're feeling somebody as energy, like a human, okay? Like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend or a friend or a family, whatever, right? There's a very distinct differentiation, okay? We've got that clear, of a human organic feeling or an electricity AI feeling, okay? And now you're aware of this, you're going to start to tune into this even more, okay? And this is even like awesome training for you to, like sense energy in your house. Like, how we're good at, okay, there's a ghost there. Okay, we need to clear that negative energy in our house. Well, now also, like, as we're moving 2022 and beyond, okay, and the technological era that we're living in, and it's only getting more advanced, okay, and more controlled, so to speak, to be able to walk around your house and not only clear the energy with the sage, it's like, okay, where is the biggest EMF, pulses in my house? Am I sleeping on one? Is it next to my head? Like even with my phone at night, it's like either sleep with it out of your bedroom, or if you really need it, next to you, make sure it's on airplane mode or turn it off, right? If it's on airplane mode or it's just on silent, no notifications, on sleep, all the things, turn off Wi-Fi, turn off Bluetooth, and put it next to you. Like, I can't sleep with that next to my bed. It has to be on the floor, down there and down away, So it's like you'll start to tune in with all these bits of technology around you, right? So when you said about screaming out of nowhere tonight, like, this is the thing where it's like the AI takeover is very fast and it's very sharp, and all of a sudden you're in it. And the thing with the AI takeover is like, it's a like, you just sort of explode, and it's just, you're fucking in it, and then it's up and down and up, because then it's literally crazy making, okay? Because it's literally like a takeover, and the biggest thing about it, okay, the biggest thing about the AI takeover is that it will play on your biggest fears. It'll play on your biggest traumas. It'll play on your biggest fears, your biggest traumas, because we know that whole system is built on looting, on feeding off your negative energy. Like, it's survival mechanism, okay? So when it's like flicking somebody over, like, it's literally like a snap. So an organic feeling somebody's energy was just, we're doing our thing, as I said, and we're just like, oh. And then we might be like thinking about that person, or we check a phone, or like, oh, and then we're thinking about them, and then we sort of get distracted from what we're doing, and then we just can't stop thinking about them, or whatever the feeling is. Or maybe you start feeling sad, but you were happy before, and then your phone, your friend rings and they're really upset, and you're like, oh, I was feeling them. It's a very different feeling. The organic carrying somebody's energy is a very different feeling to the AI takeover. The AI takeover, like I said, is like electricity. It's a technical feeling. Like I said, like, when the electricity goes out in the house, the power goes off in the suburb, and it's a very different feeling in the house, right? So that AI takeover is a very electricity, that sort of feeling, and it's a very snap. It's very sharp, and all of a sudden you're fucking in it. And you just, and like I said, it'll play on any of your fears, okay? It'll play on your fears, and it'll play on your traumas. The deepest, darkest, most suppressed ones is what it'll play on. So B, when you said, like, my neighbor was screaming out of nowhere tonight and it affected me all night. And then you said, my heart was racing and I felt so triggered, okay? So, like, number one, that little scenario for yourself could have triggered a memory from when you were a kid and you heard your parents fighting or something else going on, and it's like, do you know what I mean? There could be that personally for you there. But when you're talking about my heart was racing all night, so the other thing that I've noticed in these waves, so that's how we distinguish the two different parts, okay? The organic and the inorganic, okay? The human, pets, whatever, like nature, cosmos, like, it's a very different feeling to the AI snap electricity takeover, okay? And we'll usually do behaviors that we don't usually do, and then all of us, and afterwards we'll be like, what the fuck was that? That wasn't me. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's very clear and distinct, okay? When we're carrying somebody's energy, we just feel sort of clouded, confused, and when we clear it, we're like, oh, and we start to know that wasn't us too, right? But the AI takeover is a very snappy, sharp sort of energy. So alongside of that, when I talk about there's one group up or there's one group down, and over the weekend there was, it's like both groups were down again, okay? And so what that I feel that is, and it's what I was saying to my clients. I was like, yeah, there's all this stuff, and it's you, and it's your deepest traumas and blah, 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 of like what we're talking about, right? And I also feel when both sides are down, so to speak, right? Talk about the two different groups that I always talk about. When both are down, what I've started to notice is that it's bigger than us, okay? It's bigger than AI doing its thing, okay? It's bigger than Wi-Fi and 5G. It's bigger than all, like, it's not even our world. It feels out of this world, turning up the dial switch, spiritual warfare, fight, whatever's going on, it feels like that's when both sides are down. And that's really big to even comprehend, but that's what I've been getting so clearly, stronger and stronger and stronger all the time. And I've been tuning into it, I've been getting all these clients, I'm talking about it all the time. I'm like, I need to do a live stream on this. So how do we stop it? How do we clear it? How do we understand this? How do we do, okay? So number one, your biggest protection is you dealing with your deepest, darkest demons, right? The things that you've got hidden away, buried away, shoved in the closet, all of the skeletons in the closet, all those things, right? Because, you know, and let's be real, right? We're never going to be able to clear everything. When, you know, if we were fully healed humans, we wouldn't be in this dimension, okay? Let's be real about that. There is stuff at every layer. There is stuff at every level of who you are as a person and healing, okay? So, you know, when we talk about protection, there's the spiritual protection. There's really, I want to say literally conjuring up your energy, okay, your light, and literally like rubbing your hands together and building up that energy and literally like sending it out through your body, through your aura, through your home, through, you know, like you have the power to protect your energy, okay? You can use my internal compass chakra clearing meditation. So the internal compass is an activator. It's free. It's in my meditation pack. It's in my clear and activate pack. You can send me a message if you want that, or you can just comment meditation below and we'll send you the links for those. They're free. They're essential. That's why it's the essentials. So with that AI takeover, when you start to be aware of this, okay, it's a muscle. Okay, just like clearing somebody's energy of a human or a pet or the cosmos, and we start to gain those skills and strengthen those muscles, right? The same with that AI takeover is also a muscle. You'll start to catch it. You'll start to understand it. You'll start to go, no, right? Now, the other thing that's really important to notice and sort of just check in with, and I think it's something, again, it's a muscle, it's a learning, it's moving forward into this era that we're in. It's like, you know, how open was I, you know, on my devices, on my, you know, like other technology? Was I around a lot of technology? Was I, you know, like what was actually happening for me? What was going on? And it's so important to understand, okay, this is like the most important part of this, is that it will play on your deepest, darkest fears, traumas, all of that, okay? Because we know that's what it feeds off. You can also flick it around and it's a massive purging so that it is not in your system anymore. If we look at the depth and darkness of shadow work and the depth and darkness of the fire that's in there, okay, and the light that is being shone on that, that's your deepest, darkest transformations. And it is hard to be in that. But when you're also purging that out, there's a reason that it's purging out. There's a reason that the light is going into the darkest, deepest recesses of your psyche and subconscious, because it no longer has a place there. So even though there's clearing energy and it's important to understand where you are in somebody else or in AI takeover, because we live in a technological world now, okay? And so if we're, you know, like around a lot of towers, if we're in a city, if we've got a lot of Wi-Fi, like, do you know what I mean? And there's things that you can do. You can buy clothes that are the EMF protection. There's, you know, the earthing mats. There's so many things you can do to support yourself in this, 100%. But the greatest thing is understanding that when we're feeling this, it's about riding the wave. It's about knowing that this is the deepest, darkest stuff that's being cleared out, to get support in that, to know that you're not crazy, to know that there's a huge collective wave that's usually going on. So if you're ever unsure, post in my Reality Awareness support group on Facebook. It's my free group. That's where it's like, hey, I'm feeling this. Is anyone else feeling it? And it'll be like, yes, 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 yes. So we're all feeling it, okay? So, okay, what else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, the heart stuff, the anxiety. So also with that, there's a lot of grief clearing out. I've been saying for the past couple of years that grief is clearing out of the collective. That's why all the heart stuff's going on. That's why, you know, like everybody, you know, there's a lot of needle stuff about that as well, sure, but on a deeper level as well, there is an attack on the heart. That was a very big sort of strong message over the past 4 days as well, was like there's an attack on the heart chakra. There's an attack on the heart chakra. There's also a big clearing on it, and it's allowing it to become stronger. In the clear out of what is no longer required in that space, it is becoming stronger. So, okay. So what else do I want to say about this? Oh yeah, so I want to say the AI takeover stuff and the mind control, like it is that very snap sharp, okay? And when, you know, like even when you're in it and it's like it'll flick in and you'll be in it and you're even conscious, you're like, this is not me. Like, you know, when you're in it, it's like, this is also not me, but we can't sort of stop ourselves, but we can. And this is like writing it, but also like, and what's not me can get out, you know, it's like, you know, and I say like get out, it's not like you've been taken over, but you have. It's the same as feeling in someone's energy. It's the same as like, you know, walking, you know, down a street and you smell like sewage or something, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's like that sort of waft through your energy, right? And it's not that like, oh, well, I should have cleared my energy from the sewage smell. It's just like, we didn't know it was the, do you know what I mean? It's like when you become conscious of it, you clear it, okay? Okay, does anyone have any questions about that specifically? I feel like there's something else that I need to say about it, but I'm not quite sure what that is. Hasn't come through. Oh, that was the other thing. I did take notes about this. I'll just check them. So the other thing to really be aware of, okay, is when it's happening to you, be aware of what time it is, okay? In my book, I'm talking deeply about timelines and time, yeah? In the essence of when you're feeling this, be aware of when it is. Is it when you're waking up at 4 a.m.? Is it, you know, like, is it between 5 and 7 a.m.? Is it late in the afternoon? Is it lunchtime? Like, what time of day it is? And that is really important because when we are, you know, when they're, okay, saying it with inverted commas, okay, when they're attacking us, when they're doing that to us, okay, or when the cosmos and the collective, you know, solar system, we're flying through the cosmos or whatever's happening, or in this realm, okay, for you flat earthers out there, when we're in a realm, okay, when it's in a realm, okay, you know, whatever, like there's all different things we could go into there, I got a little bit distracted, okay. So the other thing is like when they're doing this to us, okay, when we're feeling these emotions, when whatever collective consciousness or solar system, other galactic energy force is coming through, or the solar flares or whatever it is, okay, we could be fine for a period of day or we're flicking in and out of it, but what time of day does it affect you most? You know, and you might be fine for a couple of days and then it's like another wave of it. Is it all day? Is it a particular time of day? And this is so fucking important, okay? Because you know how I said that AI is targeting like, you know, those traumas and the deepest like fears and stuff like that. Like, you know, and I say this with inverted commas because no one can do anything to you, okay? This is a whole, like it goes pretty deep, okay? I'm not saying, do you know, I trust you know where I'm coming from with this, okay? But there's an aspect to it when it does hit you and it targets you and it targets your deepest fears and your deepest traumas and all of those pieces, right? The biggest thing about that is what time of day it is, because in the traditional Chinese medicine, there's a 24-hour clock, okay? And there's many 24-hour clocks you can look at. I always just love Organic Olivia's TCM chart. For some reason I just have for years. It's brilliant. There's, like I said, there's probably other brilliant ones out there, but you know, I just always love hers. And basically what it is, if you're not aware of it, is that our organs run on a 24-hour clock, right? So between say 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., it's the kidneys. Between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., it's the large intestine. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it's the lungs. And, you know, if, for example, if you're going through a relationship breakup and there's a lot of grief and you haven't dealt with it, you'll probably wake up at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. on the dot every time. And you're like, why am I wide awake? Because your grief in the lungs is actually waking you up. If you wake up at 5 a.m., 7 a.m. and you're really angry, there's like a lot of like, you know, guilt going on and trying to clear out of your system, like, you know, those sorts of things. And so if you know, suddenly get like heart pains or panic attack or anxiety around lunchtime, you know, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. is the heart. Okay. So it's so important to understand these aspects because they're also going to give you signs of healing of what you also need to deal with, because once you deal and clear with this, then those things won't keep repeating in your life and you won't be attacked and thrown down and thrown off by the energies coming in to affect you. Okay? Really important point. So I'm just going to put the Organic Olivia thing. I have no association with her. I just love her website. I have for years. So, you know. So I've just popped that TCM chart in there. So that's a really other important point to have a look at there. Okay. So, and then one last thing that I will say about it is be aware if you do live in a city or even in, you know, country or whatever, You know how like when you're driving along or you're walking, probably when you're walking along or whatever, and in some places there's really good reception and in other places it's like, why have I not got any reception here? Like, do you know how much it amazes me when I go into town and there's certain places and it's like, there's a tower right there. Why is there no reception? We're in the city. Why is there bad reception? Why have I got better reception out in the country than I do in the city? Like, you know, and this is an important point, okay? Because when we are in, you know, the city or whatever, okay, it is so important in your local environment for you to understand where the pockets of no reception are. Why is that? Yeah? I want you to become aware of them and know where they are. Because when you're feeling off, down, screaming, or anxiety and stuff, you're gonna check, okay, is it a human organic feeling? Is it a AI technological, okay? And you're gonna do all your clearing techniques, and you're probably gonna have a cry at the same time or whatever. You're gonna check the time, and probably check the time. Who wears watches these days? You're gonna check the time, and you're going to, you know, check in your TCM body chart. And then you're also going to remember where those pockets of no reception are, and you're going to go there and you're going to sit there for a while. Why is that? Because that's your escape out of the waves. If there is no reception there, it means there's a gap. It's like a breathing space for your whole energy system, for your body, when we're bombarded with it constantly. Okay? So those points, those no reception places in your local area are gold mines for you. Yeah? So get to know them, know where they are. You've got a whole pile of list of things here that can really help you through these times. I hope this has helped you. Please comment below if you've got any questions, even if you're watching the replay, and I will be back real soon. My 21-day shifter program is closing the doors next week. So if you want to work with me one-on-one and really clear out the deep stuff, send me a message. I'll pop the link in the comments as well. You can find it on my page, on my website. And we can really go deep into shifting out some big stuff. The stuff that keeps coming up at those certain times that you're like, why is this happening again? Why is it every 4 a.m. that I'm waking up, or whatever's going on for you, right? Or sometimes you get really, really tired. Like, you know, it's like people are like 3 p.m., like, you know, like need sugar or falling asleep at your desk at lunchtime, you know, that's your heart struggling. Yeah. Probably on so many different levels. So yeah. So send me a message, pop the link for the 21-day shifter program in there. If you've got questions, let me know, and I shall see you guys real soon. Bye.